This problem involves speed and time. And to translate the problem for you, you and your SSHP, that stands for Sweetie Sugar Honey Pie. Okay, you and your Sweetie Sugar Honey Pie are 500 miles apart, and you're driving at a speed that's 10 miles an hour less than Sweetie Sugar. After 4 hours, you're 100 miles apart. So how fast is Sweetie Sugar Honey Pie driving, and how bad does Sweetie Sugar Honey Pie really want to see you? Okay, you tell that by how fast this individual is driving. Of course, you have to take into consideration how fast this individual ordinarily drives. There's no absolute standard for that. And whatever the case, if this individual is not driving very fast, there'll probably be some sort of an excuse. But anyhow, you're 500 miles apart, driving speed 10 miles an hour less, and after 4 hours you're this far apart. And another question is, why are you driving slower? Okay, now let's see. You got 500 miles apart and then 400 miles apart. So it looks like the distance traveled in the 4 hours is 400 miles, right? Now, that's how the distance between you changes. And that is, of course, the distance you travel plus the distance the other person travels. So now you have to have expressions for the distance you travel and the distance the other person travels. How are you going to get that? Well, let's let x equal your speed and now what other bit of information can we write? If we know that x is your speed, well, since you're going 10 miles an hour less than the other person's going 10 miles faster. And we have this. Now, how far do you travel in 4 hours? How far does the other person travel in 4 hours? Okay? Well, it's going to be 4 hours times your speed in miles an hour, right? If you're going 40 miles an hour, you multiply that by 4 hours and you get 160 miles. Whatever your speed is, you multiply it by 4 hours to see how far you went. So your distance is 4x, and the other distance is what? Think of it yourself, okay? Well, it's going to be 4 times x plus 10. And now we can write an equation for the situation. And we've already got an equation. Distance you travel plus the distance the other person travels is 900. You know, when I wrote this up here, I should have wrote equals 900. So we have the entire equation. Got distracted by the necessity to truncate the word travel there, and after I abbreviated that, I guess I was just done. So distance you travel plus the distance the other person travels has to be 400. Did I say 900? I think I wrote down 900. 400 miles. Had the 900 left over as the dollars from the last problem. So to write down the equation that results from all this information, the distance you travel is 4x. The distance Sweetie Sugar Honey Pie travels is 4 times x plus 10, which equals 400. Then we distribute and collect terms. We're going to end up, you should do this yourself just to check to see that you're doing it right. But 8x plus 40 equals 400. And the solution is very straightforward. We get x equals 40 from 400 is 360, divided by 8 is 45, and that's your speed. So, moving 10 miles an hour faster, the other person is traveling at 55 miles an hour.